Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another Cabral House Call. We're going to be answering your questions today. We have 3 great questions, and I want to really dive right into them. But before I do, I want to make sure that you tuned into the last episode. I believe it was called Food Combining Made Simple. And if for no other reason that you listen in on the amazing Sunday dinners that my grandmother used to cook for us. Literally every Sunday, the whole family used to get together. And what I did was I actually shared how she perfected the art of food combining without even knowing what she was doing. This led to less digestive issues, less energy-based issues, brain fog, constipation, acid reflux, all of those different things. It's a natural law. If you follow this law of food combining, I'm telling you, it's going to help you get rid of a lot of the digestive-based symptoms, a lot of the energy-based issues you're having right now. So definitely tune into that show. Again, one of my favorites. All right, so Carol is up first today. Carol is asking, I get constipated during a juice cleanse or a detox when I'm not eating any other foods. So, okay, this is not uncommon. It doesn't happen to everyone, but it probably does happen to maybe 10% of the people doing a juice-based cleanse or a detox. And one of the reasons is this. When you're using one of these pseudo-fasting-based mechanisms, so you're doing a detox or you're doing a juice cleanse, again, it should be vegetable juice only. What happens is you are not eating any food, right? So you're not getting in a lot of actual substance, a lot of bulk. And that bulk is what helps you to create this peristaltic movement in your intestines. So again, you have over 25 feet of intestines. That includes the small intestine and large intestine. And they have to work on this intersuccession, this wave-like movement that pushes food through the small intestine and large intestine. So what happens is if the new food isn't coming in, sometimes your body doesn't get that signal to start back up that mechanism. So one of the things you can do is if you want to get the benefits from that, you can actually include a little psyllium husk fiber, or you can use extra magnesium. All of those things work fantastically well. Those are my first recommendations, Carol. So that's what I would start with. One thing we did for our detox is we simply added fiber. We added flax and psyllium husk to the shake so that not only would it help stabilize blood sugar levels, but it would help with this issue of constipation. However, some people still can get a little constipated. So we even added another product called it's called our IU Detox, and it comes with a kit with the 7-day detox or 14 or 21 day. And that actually has natural triphala in it. It has ginger and some great anti-inflammatories as well. And that helps you keep those bowel movements coming as well. So, but again, if those don't work, definitely try some psyllium or try some magnesium as well. Magnesium citrate is good. The natural calm is great. All of those things can help tremendously. If you don't have a bowel movement on day 2, as long as there's no pain, that's okay. You're doing okay because, again, you're not having any food come in. That's not a problem. However, if after day 3 you still haven't had a bowel movement, that is when you'll want to add in, because again, by day 3 you're having that food, you'll want to add in some psyllium, some magnesium, or you can use something stronger as needed. And again, if you're following our particular detox, you can always just email our support at drcabaldetox.com for any help that you need. But again, we know that people are trying lots of different cleanses, lots of different books, whatever it might be. And this tip is universal. It can be used for everyone. All right, great question, Carol. Next up is Alicia T. Alicia asks, I love these podcasts! Exclamation point. Thank you, Alicia. Your question is, what are your thoughts on using a pressure cooker for vegetables? So it's a great question. And the thing is, there is no one answer for every person, right? So we have to break it down and say, here's a few different answers. Where do you fall into this category? All right, so let's get into those right now. So the best way to answer this question is, like I said, we're going to look at what is the best for you. Now, when we're talking about cooking foods in a pressure cooker, just to back up, for those people who don't know what a pressure cooker is, basically it's a big pot on your stove that you can kind of lock on a lid to it, which is really important because if that lid isn't locked on, that could be flying up to your ceiling pretty quickly. It's like anyone who's ever used a blender and didn't quite put that lid on tight enough, it shoots up and your kitchen's a big mess. So what we're looking at here for a pressure cooker is that it's essentially cooking your food at a faster rate. So what it's doing is it's allowing more heat to build up at a faster rate. It's about 30 degrees. So if normal boiling of water is around 212 degrees, a pressure cooker is going to get somewhere around
235, 240 for a temperature. Now, you can say, well, it's not a natural, it's not like a traditional way of cooking food because it's only a couple hundred years old. So before, one of the best ways to cook food was really slow cooking. And I still believe that. I still believe using a slow cooker is a great way to preserve nutrients, not at a high heat, and it's a very many thousands of year old Ayurvedic based method. Now, a pressure cooker is the direct opposite of that. Cook it quickly. So what I would say is this: the science actually does show that using a pressure cooker allows for a higher retention of antioxidants and vitamins in your vegetables. That's a great thing. So when I was doing the research on this, I want to say, yes, I don't have a lot of experience myself using a pressure cooker, but I know what the science says. And I know that it shows that a lot of the vegetables you use in a pressure cooker, you want to make sure that you don't overcook them so they just don't get really soft. But it allows for a better retention of vitamin C in a lot of those studies. The other thing is, unlike cooking in high heat over a grill or a flame, it doesn't build up any acrylamides. And those are the things that can be carcinogens and cancer forming. So none of that burning or anything like that leaves those marks on your food. The other great thing I found was that if you're cooking peas or legumes or anything like that contains these lectins or this phytic acid that allows you, or it basically prevents your body from fully absorbing all of the nutrients that you need, it cuts back on those as well. However, you are going to lose some of those nutrients and you're going to denature the food faster by using a pressure cooker. So ways around that are this: make sure that you're not overcooking your food, that you're just using it at the right amount of time that you need. And remember, it can be anywhere from like 50 to 70%, usually around, not quite that much, but usually around half the time as needed from traditional cooking. But there's two caveats to this. One, you don't want to overcook your vegetables in general, okay? Any foods in that. We won't get into meats and those specific things because I don't know if that's the best form of cooking for that. I don't agree that it is. But for vegetables alone. And now for vegetables too, if there is water still left in there, you want to use that water as a broth, or you want to use it again for a soup later. You don't want to lose all the nutrients that have actually been extracted from your vegetables and that are now in the water in that. So do use that. Do even just drink it. You can have a little cup of it, and that's where there's going to be a lot of nutrients. Now, of course, this only goes for organic-based vegetables. If they have been sprayed before, you don't want to keep using that water. So hopefully that answers your question. Anybody who's eating vegetables, I mean, really, however you want to cook them is great with me, unless you're frying them in oil. Definitely don't do that. So, Alicia, hopefully that answers your question. The science says it is okay to use a pressure cooker. And really, when you look at it, one little tip is that it's really not a whole lot different than if you're cooking at sea level versus up in the mountains, right? Because there's about a 20-degree difference in boiling point as well. So I thought that was some interesting science behind that. All right. So last question for today is from Mary M. Mary is asking, is it okay to eat fruits and vegetables shipped from other countries even if it's not in season? This is a really smart question, and that's because if you're actually looking at your labels on your fruits and your vegetables that are packaged up, usually it's fruits, that you'll see that, oh, this comes from Chile or this comes from some other country. And so when you're looking at those specifically, you say, well, I don't know if I should be eating this because it's not in season. I've heard that I should be eating my fruits in season, all of those things. Well, part of that is absolutely correct. You are absolutely correct. I'm going to do a whole podcast just on how we can and should be eating more seasonally and what it does to the gut bacteria and also our own bodies. But let's just stay on topic for today. We'll save that for a future episode. I do believe it's okay to eat fruits and vegetables from other countries. Here's what I want you to think about and look at, though. If you're eating bananas from other countries, they're absolutely not going to be vine ripened. And that goes for most fruits. And that's because by the time it gets to us, even if it's only, let's say 5 days or so, maybe longer, 7 days, depending on where it's coming from, you're going to have close to brown or rotten fruit. All right. And so they have to pick bananas and other fruit before they are actually ripe. That's one thing to look at. Now, that can mean for a lot of people that there's not going to be as much nutrition in that food itself because it wasn't allowed to fully grow or fully ripen. And I do believe that there's some truth to that. However, the fact that you are eating good, nutritious vegetables and fruits that can't be grown locally in your area, like especially in Boston, what are you going to grow for fruits and vegetables outside in 20-degree weather with wind chills below zero in the winter. You're not going to grow any fruits really, and very few vegetables, because the ground's going to be frozen and it's just inhospitable to those things. So if it was back in the day, you'd be canning those things, you'd be, drying those out, you'd be doing all sorts of things to be able to have them through the winter. Well, I see nothing wrong with getting fresher food from other countries as long as, big caveat here, it hasn't been sprayed and they're not using GMO-based substances. So you still want to make sure that even though you're getting your foods from other countries, that they're all organic, that they haven't been sprayed. It's very, very important. It's so important, and here's why. If you're eating a fruit or vegetable, you're eating that because you want to get the health benefits, right? Well, what if they sprayed a chemical on it that was actually a known neurotoxin that actually broke down your nervous system and affected your brain and affected your overall health and immunity and affected even your hormones in your body and fertility? You probably not want to weigh the two and say, well, I get my fruits and vegetables, but then I have to actually ingest this neurotoxin. Really bad idea. So Mary, I would say is, if you can, eat locally. Absolutely. Do your best. Go to farmers markets. Get that fruit and vegetables. Get those things when they're ripe locally. Great. If you can do that, that's absolutely the number one thing. But don't shy away from your healthy fruits and vegetables, even if they do come from other countries, because I do believe those benefits of eating them versus not eating them far outweighs it in favor of choosing those fruits and vegetables, even when they're out of season from other countries. Hopefully that answers your question. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into another Cabral House Call. Before you go, I wanted to make you aware that as a loyal listener to the Cabral concept, I want to make sure I'm always providing with great real-world usable content and rewarding you with listener-only specials. So for the month of April, my goal is to help you involve more of your family and friends and even coworkers in their quest to lose weight and get well. And I believe there is no better way to do that than through the Dr. Cabral Detox. You lose 5 to 10 pounds in your first 7 days and improve your overall well-being, guaranteed. So this month, I'm going to take $20 off the 14 or 21-day Dr. Cabral Detox so that you can share the 14-day with one friend or family member and the 21-day with 2 friends or family members. It's more motivating to do the detox with someone else, and I know you'll both be happy you did. Come join our Dr. Cabral Detox community and change your body, change your life. To take your $20 off, just enter the promo code APRIL20, all lowercase, at checkout.